Be'ezer Hashem Parshas Pinchas Tovshin Pei Gimel. Someone reached out that we went on a journey in Chovos HaLevavos. We left the text, and he got mixed up. Like, how do we get to these topics? Where did we start? Like sometimes a guy gets into a fight. He says, "How does this all start?" So I went back to see. It was the past 10 shurim berach that we went off. And it's very important because now if you draw the line back, it's like a full circle. It could help us, give us a push to understand how we take all these yesodis further on in Perek Daled of Chovos HaLevavos. There was a one-liner in Chovos HaLevavos that triggered a big question. And that was in the beginning of Perek Daled. The Chovos HaLevavos says that even though a person gets full clarity in Birur Emunosoi, he has a clear vision that everything that's happening to him is totally not in his hands. It's Mosor in the Rebbeinu Shem's hands, and what the Rebbeinu Shem does is the best. So that would bring a person to the conclusion: let me just leave go and let the Rebbeinu Shem run it, because he's anyways driving my life. No, Chovos HaLevavos finishes the same sentence. He says, even though you understand that with full clarity that the Rebbeinu Shem is doing everything and he's doing it his way, you're still mechuyev lizgalgel lesibos te'alosav, which means you have to do ishtadlus and you have to try your best. You have to, anytime there's a sakana, you have to try to make sure you're doing ishtadlus. You shouldn't be in a sakana. And that triggered the question that is very hard for the nefesh of a person to feel a drive to do, to try, if you're not asking me anyways. It's not like I have the power to change anything. You're doing what you want. It's going to be what it's going to be. And you're doing what you want to the Rebbeinu Shem. Again, if it's coming from a healthy place, the person's telling the Rebbeinu Shalom, I trust you. But what do you want from me? Why do I have to get involved in trying to change it if you're anyways planning to do whatever you want? So that really opened up the question, like, what's the point? In the end of a few shiurim, it got us to a new, deep understanding. It's not the regular. That means a person has to study this understanding again and again and again, review it. So you should be able to internalize this concept, which is that when a person does actions and it comes from the good place, that means a person is bringing out his koichas hanefesh. For example, a person has a talent of being a malamed, or let's say he has a talent of music, singing, any talent that you have. If you're going to bring that out from the good way, because you're going to want to expose your koiches to the bria and do your shlichus. You're here because Hashem gave me this. He must have wanted that I should convey this to others. Then what happens is that the deep inner rotzen of the person gets exposed. This concept, first we learned it about tefillah, that when a person davens, slowly he's building kelim to feel his deep rotzen, which is to connect to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Then we saw that the Chovos HaTalmidim in a Sefer Achshoros HaAvreichem mentions that the same is with physical actions. When a person has koichas hanefesh and it's hidden, so he doesn't know what he wants. That's many times youngsters, teenagers. What do you like to do? I don't know. They're laying in bed. They're depressed. They're mishuamam. They're bored. I'm going out of their mama. They go out of the kelim from boredom. I don't know what to do. Once they figure themselves out, what they like to do, and they start doing it. Not only that, they start doing it. They get up in the morning. They're zoras. That means they're not no atzlus. More and more, and you're bringing those koiches out, then you feel yourself, you connect to yourself. And when you connect to yourself, that slowly exposes more and more the inner rotzen which the neshama has. It's going to happen to everybody. And that is that they want to connect to the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's what ends up happening. So that is the answer to that question that we just mentioned. That the Chovos HaLevavos is teaching us, if you are going to do hishtadlus the right way, which is to take your koiches and serve the Rebbeinu Shalom, do your shlichus into the bria, and give be a noise and all that. How the Chovos HaLevavos explained in Shar Gimel that each person has a netiya, a tchunas hanefesh, a talent, a certain. Do that, and then you're already going to get but you're going to get parnasa because you're fixed in, you're doing what you're supposed to do in the Bria. You're a healthy person. Not only as person, you're a healthy part of the Bria. You're doing what you're supposed to. Then, what's going to happen is, you're going to like what the Rebbeinu Shalom is choosing for you. It's going to bring you to enjoy the Rebbeinu Shalom's plan for you. Now, let's add to that to finish this off. When a person is in a matzav of doing nothing, they're doing something very terrible to themselves. What is that? They are exposing the other half of themselves, which is they're making the rotzon, which contradicts the Rebbeinu Shalom's rotzon. Like, I want to eat, I want to have pleasures, whatever it is, they're making that stronger. Instead of exposing your inner rotzon, it does the exact opposite. A person that sits around and he just scrolls the news and then he goes to eat something, like it's like Ben Azmanim. He never got dressed in the morning. B'chlal, going into the refrigerator. It's COVID. He's home, and then just again and again. And you ask him, a little toiva, could you help me schlep that? No, I'm busy. I can't. Stop it already. They're slowly building up the guf. The ritzoinus of the guf becomes stronger. It's also selfishness. It's by everybody. You're building the ritzoinus of the guf. Very important to chap that. A lot of people, if it's parents that are now trying to be mechanech their children and are devastated that this kid is not doing anything, help, be part of, by screaming at them, they get frustrated. I mean, I understand the parents that are frustrated as well. So it's say gomo. But what's happening is they get frustrated, and it's just caught in the kas is again building up that wanting to stay in the room. It's the same mitzvah, the koich haguf. Versus if you tell the child, "Ooh, you're very good at this. Gewaldig, could you come? I need you because your talent in this area is gewaldig." So once they do it, if they get themselves to go do it, they want to do more of it. And ad kedekach, people would want to go the extra step for others. So you see people that do gemilas chesed, they're not the big learners. They're not even big daveners. But the more they do chesed, the more they enjoy to do even more chesed. If they do it healthy. Not who knows what, the shmo, but they're doing it healthy. They're giving out their koiches. They like to help others. They're going to want to do more of that, and it helps a person slowly bring out their deeper rotzen, their inner rotzen, which is to do what the Rebbeinu wants I should do, to do my shlichus in this world. That's why the person has to review again and again. The Rebbeinu runs the world, but then if you're going to be sitting around and you're not going to do a shtadlis, you're going to be upset at the Rebbeinu. It's fascinating, this kesher, but look at it. You're going to see a person that studies themselves is going to watch that it happens to themselves. It happens. That's what happens. Again, we learned it from the Mekoros in the past 10 shiurim. But the more a person is doing healthy ishtadlus, the less upset they are with the Rebbeinu Shalom's plan, and that is because they exposed their inner rotzen, their neshama came out, and the neshama wants what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants. That's why one complements each other instead of one contradicting. When I say one, I mean to say the hishtadlus and the tefillah part versus the Rebbeinu Shalom's plan. They meet. That also explains the previous shit that we learned, and also explains the hemshach and the Chovos HaLevavos, that the hardest thing for a person is to leave this world. It's Yisurim, it's the Ratzon that people fight it. They don't want to go on to the next step. And one of the reasons is because a lot of times a person is so invested. David HaMelech's explanation to Hillel in many psukim is you're not taking anything with you. Is this pasuk? And in that capital, it's capital Memtes, it's again and again, like, what do you think? You're leaving, a guy invested, finally he built a house, finally he built his big business, and then you just have to leave everything behind. Family, he built a beautiful family, has to leave everything behind. Leaving behind is feeling that he's leaving himself behind because he was so invested in it. The Gemara says in Gittin, where is it? Here it is. The Gemara talks about one of the Amoyroim that here it is. The Gemara says that it was Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish, when he left the world, he left over one kava, small amount of a spice, karka. And he said, "Va'ozvu la'acherim chelam." So the Chofetz Chaim explains in the beginning of Parashat Vayeschanan that he was disturbed on the bittul Torah that he had, that he was invested in earning this spice. Because if I'm invested as much as I need to, as much as I need for life, so that was Beseder. But if he's leaving the world and he left over something, turns out that was extra. That's what the Chofetz Chaim explains this Gemara. It's hard for a person to leave this world. So da kommt eine interessante Sache. If a person was invested in Gashmias, in his Ritzoinus, the person is building that painful moment. And that's why people at any age, but especially if it's not the age they imagined, they're in the middle. I'm in the middle of building something. How could I drop everything? I was hoping to see Baruch Metz Hashem, this whole thing, and then Hashem is just taking me away smack in the middle. Again, it's painful. But what's the idea that the Rebbeinu Hashem is saying? What's the healthy way to run this world? That the person should give out. It should be cautious. He should be aware. When you're getting invested in your hishtadlus, there's the right way and the wrong way. If you do it the wrong way, you are connecting yourself to this world stronger. Then when a person has to leave go of something, they can't leave go. Even if they only have to leave go of something small, they can't leave go of anything. Versus if the people do the right hishtadlus, then the right hishtadlus means they constantly remind themselves that I want to give, I want to expose what my neshama has to do in this world. To what happens is that they expose their neshama, which the neshama wants, Rebbeinu Shalom wants the Dreikus. And then the result of that is that they built the Rotzen to connect to Rebbeinu Shalom. That's what they built. And then, when the time comes, they prepare themselves. They want to continue on to the next world. The Tfer Shloime in Parshas Chukas says that the Petira of Aaron HaKohen is mentioned in the Torah many, many times. Kama Pa'omim, more than once, that the Aaron HaKohen was nifted. Ad kedei kach that one in Masei, in Parshas Masei, it says the exact yortzeit, the only person that it says the yortzeit, Yom Rishon B'Chodesh HaChamishi. He says that when Aaron HaKohen got the Besura of the Rebbeinu Shalom, that you could have to continue, go up to Hor, you're done. Lo bikish shum dover is not, so he didn't try to fight it, and he did not want to daven to be mevatel the gzeira. Didn't want to daven. Or he should ask Moshe Rabbeinu should daven. When Moshe wants, I'm there. He says that that's why it's the Choshev Misa that it says in the Torah. And Moshe Rabbeinu saw that. It says that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to have the P'tir of Amar. The Tfer Shloime says that you know what part of it? This is what he wanted. Chomad Moshe had a chukka, a taiva. I wish. What did he wish? He says, Halavai, I could leave the world in this darga that I wanted Ratzon from the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's beautiful. I could do the Ratzon of Hashem. It's Mesiras Nefesh. This is what I want to do. He says, in the end, what happened was that Eibusha told Moshe, that's it, you're not going to Yisrael. It's your last day. Moshe Rabbeinu davened 515 tefillas, or 514. He davened his tefillas because it wasn't for him. It was for Klal Yisrael, because he understood that if Yidden are going to have Moshe Rabbeinu and Yisrael with them, then they're not going to be able to be, and they're not going to be able to go in Golos because he's going to save them. But the concept that Tiferes Shlomo says is that he says it only about the P'tira, but if we look into the Chovos Halevovos and the Marmakomis we learned in the previous Shurim, it helps a person change their Rotzen. That's the Tachlis of Ishtadlis. Not to build your own desires, just to build that the inner desires should come out. That's the concept. How do you do that? By taking your strong points, which the reason, let's elaborate. Why does a person that was given a certain talent, why do they enjoy doing it? Once again, if they don't do his burdenness and thinking, then they say, I know how to do it well, so I get covered. Fame and money. Of course I loved it because everybody's like clapping for me. So I'm enjoying it because I feel good. But that's not true. It's such a chaval. Because if they would take away all the around and around, they would also feel good. And it would be not so magushim, but it would be such a refined feeling of being elevated, being a good person.
This is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to do.
Yeah. I could help the Rebbeinu Shem's Bria, and when you're helping the Rebbeinu Shem's Bria, it's not only because you're helping the sick people, it's that you're being a shliach, and every time a person is in the middle of being miyasem, fulfilling, but the Rebbeinu Shem sent me, the Meshaleach, I'm now doing what you told me to do. I'm doing what you told, the Pkudah. What's happening is it connects a person to Rebbeinu Shalom, because shlichus works that my hands are doing what that mind told me to do. That's the concept in Lomdus when they teach it in yeshivas. A person usually has a head and a hand, and then he decides what he wants his hands to do. But there is a concept in the Torah that Reuven could tell Shimon, you go be Makadosh Isha, and then Shimon is being a robot which is doing only the physical, and it's connected to somebody else's mind. I'm doing what that person is telling me to do. So that makes a new chibur. There's now Reuven's mind with Shimon's physical hand. Now imagine you do that to Rebbeinu Shalom Shlichus. You're being like a robot in a certain sense. You have feelings, but you're not taking what you want. You're thinking, what does the Rebbeinu Shalom want? You're forcing yourself into doing what the Rebbeinu Shalom's rotzen is. That's going to expose that you have that rotzen. It's just hidden because you have a goof and you have desires and all kinds of things. So, the more a person back to this Hawish Tadlis the right way makes Azar Mensch, which connects, the more a person takes away the money that he's earning, and people are saying, forget about that. Who are you? What could I do? I don't remember if I said it by the English here. I had a conversation with someone, and he said that he doesn't. I asked him what he does. He said his wife has this and this job. What do you do? Baruch Hashem. What could you do? What's your strong point? On a split second. Like that. The guy said, what I could do good, I could give very good compliments to people. That's what he said. And he explained, real compliments, meaning I chap real things, what people have, and I know how to pick it up and tell them. I told him, I want to make an experiment with you. It's a shtadlis. If you do what you could do, you said it, like that, it means that it's true. What's going to happen if you do this for 2 weeks as a job? Meaning not only if you find someone, get up in the morning, 9 to 5. That means if the people in the first circle, you already told them 8 compliments, take a bus, go into a shul, go to a different city, go to the hospital, give good to for people. Fascinating. The story is not finished, but in the first few weeks, he's full of life. It changed the essence, not sipuk. It changes essence. I can't elaborate too much, but it's fascinating because you have inside you a neshama that's trying to say something, that's trying to expose itself in a way to bring the chesed from Rebbeinu Shalom in the specific levush that you were given. Every person could expose the chesed of Rebbeinu Shalom to this world. One by singing, the other one by lifting, helping you bring a table into the house. Doesn't make a difference. It's chesed. Chesed is not only what we call gemilas chesed. Chesed is any way, any form of giving. And when that happens, then the person connects to their inner rotzon again and again. And then the person is called from above. And here is the nakuda. A person gets a little baskoy that says, Tzaddik, could you please leave go of something? And it's easier to leave go of something. Because instead of trying to take from this world and someone is taking it away, you're working with the same direction. A good example for that is when you see two little kids are fighting on a toy. Now, if each one is trying with all their might to schlep it to themselves, and someone comes, a big guy, and he says, could you please give that to me? He said, no. And that person goes and grabs it away. There's going to be a scene. How that child is going to act after that episode. Whatever it is. Versus, if a person is in the middle of, the guy says, could I have it? He says, yeah, I just wanted to give it to you. That's what I was going to do. I picked it up because I wanted to give it to you. So even if you do it minor, even if you do it not all the way lishma, it doesn't make a difference. You're on the right direction. You're in the middle of you're living a healthy life.
That's what you're about.
That's the mahus of the person. That's what the person is all about. And then the Rebbeinu Shalom is saying, I need you to do a bit of a harder job. I'm going to need you to come at night. The guy usually for a second says, I'm going to have to ask my wife. There's an instinct. But then when they rethink it, they say, I think I'm ready. Hineini, na'aseh v'nishma. That it brings a person, and the atzlus makes the mahus of being the opposite.
There's some people, if you ask them, what do? They'll say, I learned daf yomi and I go to shul. And you say, well, no, but the other stuff doesn't matter. That's not me. That's not my life. My life is daf yomi. My life is davening. The other stuff I have to do. It's not. So according to this, that's not the right way.
Yeah, the Chovos HaLevavos' approach, especially if you learn it together with what the Chassidish Sforim explain this Chovos HaLevavos, the Rishon, but how they explain the Chovos HaLevavos is 100% that the avodas Hashem of a person is 24 hours. Means when a person wants to feel, what am I worth? It's not like I do daf yomi and I go to shul to daven, the rest is not important. No, it's the opposite. The rest might even be more important because there you have to serve the Rebbeinu Shalom and you got to do it right. Because there, if you're not going to do it right, it's taka nothing, and it may be even worse. If you do it right, you're being ma'aleh the magashmi. Not simple at all. There's a lot of svarim that explain it. Again, this is the yisoid of the Dvorim. I'll say it in what you just said now, that some people say, I do daf yomi, I go to shul, the rest is not important. Many times, I'm not going to say always, but many times, it goes back into that category. There are people that they don't feel be'emes fulfilled. So in order to feel fulfilled, they have to be able to show something. For themselves and for others. So they think back, they say, I feel empty. I don't have that chiyas. So I'm not nothing because I do daf yomi. It's very important to chap that. Don't think that that's what life is all about, because life is about life. And life is 24 hours. And if a person taps into that, they enjoy the moment, but emes, because it's emes. It's not only because they like to enjoy life, they like adventure. When a mother's serving the children, and it's not easy, and they chap what they're doing right now, and they're a little bit focused on the avodas Hashem that they're doing right now, they could be emes feel so elevated. a malamed with little children. You could find the same. You could find malamedim that are going to say the same. They're going to say, listen, this is what I found. I really think I could do better. But right now, listen, in my area, they need a malamed. I took it, but I'm planning to use it as a jumping, stepping to get to the next step. And, you got to do what you got to do. It's a chaval because the people that change their mindset, they're connected to Hashem, they feel be'emes. And then there's always there's many people that I'm in touch with. I'm watching them, but about them, they stand in a grocery. They stand behind the counter selling pens and pencil cases, and they're be'emes, molichaim, because they figured it out that they're not wasting their time. They don't have to tell you what else they do. They're good. Tonight is the yahrzeit from the Archaim HaKodesh. Okay, it took over the Archaim HaKodesh here. The Archaim HaKodesh, here it is. Archaim HaKodesh in Parshas B'chukoisai has 42 pshatim. To explain in B'chukoisai Teleich, the whole story, every Suda of Shabbos, he was machadish more and more pshatim. Fascinating, you saw this in Torah and Avodas Hashem, 42 pshatim in B'chukoisai Teleich. Pshat number 22, Chav Beis, the Archaim HaKodesh says that the Torah is trying to tell us with the word Telechu, the Toyelis, the result, what happens, the gain that a person has when they connect the Torah be'emes. Because a person that connects the Torah is going to slowly but surely develop a desire to go to the next world. Telechu means to continue on. They think about Wunschlim and Dveikis and Dargis, and they slowly want the real Zach, not the part that came to this world. Because the person realizes the value and the toyelis that the neshama is going to have when it's going to be it's not going to be separated, it's not going to be so far in this olam hazeh. And it has a she'ifa to go ba'arch hachaim. Then the Archaim HaKodesh explains in that same capital Tezayin happens to be when a person is sure that when they're going to go upstairs they're not going to go to Gehenim, and they're actually going to be able to be Zachmis Adin with the closeness with the Rebbeinu Shalom, so they want to sell. It means the person wants to go there. And he mentions that Aaron told Moshe Rabbeinu that if I would have known that this is what it is, I would have went even earlier.
What about Yafesh Achas?
True, as long as he could serve the Rebbeinu in this world, he's chapping on in this world, but he's not scared of that world. The other Rava, if the Rebbeinu sent me on the shlichus, he on the shlichus, but when the shlichus, he's waiting to be able to go to the better half. There's a famous tzaddik, Rebbe Foil from Bereshit. He was a Talmid of Pinchas Koritza. Many Torahs in Imri Pinchas that say from Pinchas Koritza is Torahs from Rebbe Foil from Bereshit. One of the Yisoidis from his Rebbe Pinchas Koritza was about speaking the truth, emes, in any matziv, to say the truth. So there's the Rebbe Foil Bereshit had very strong, he had a arichas yomim. He was mamash very, very old in those days, maybe even in the 90s. Doesn't say exactly. Akaponim, the story how he passed away, how he was nifta, was because when he was an older person, there was a yid who did something against the government, and they wanted to kill. They wanted the people should testify to Eidos to say that this person did this and that. And they took Rebbe Foel from Bereshit and one of the other very big tzaddikim in that generation, that they should testify. And Lemaisa, that he did do the avla, but if these two tzaddikim are going to testify that he didn't do it, they're going to save him. And he was in a dilemma. His dilemma was, do I save the person, but I don't want to say a sheker. All my life I worked so hard not to say sheker. And the wife of that person was crying. So the other tzaddik said, what do you mean? Of course, you're going to save the person. But the Rafal was scared that maybe it's an Nisayon from the Yetzer Hara. So what he did was, he said he has to think it over, and the wife of that person came crying. You have to think it over. It's my husband. So it's a famous. The Rafal Bereshit said that I don't know what to do. I never said a lie, and now when I'm in this age, they're going to be machriach me. They're going to force me to say a sheker. I can't do it, but I also, of course, can't. I can't. He said, I don't want to. I want to go. He wants to leave this world. The next morning, he passed away. The Chacham HaKadosh says in one shtickle earlier that the tzaddikim have, it says al kochach hatameis, al kochach hatachai. But tzaddikim, they could decide that they want to go. That's what he says. This is how that's what happens. What happened was that the next day there was a shinui, there was a change in the court case, and without anybody saying anything, that person was free. And the Chassidim said that the Rafal came to the Olam Elyon. It became such a rash that a person left her that they said, you know what, we're going to make sure that all the tzaddik also doesn't say anything. Back to the Yesod that we're learning, it's not only about that we got into now a Seder of Shiurim about dying. It's throughout life. We say every day, Boiker, where we say Krishma. Krishma is Mesiras Nefesh. Mesiras Nefesh doesn't have to mean that a person leaves this world in total. It could be one thing that they held on to, they leave go. The Sforim are explaining to us that if a person connects to the right mindset, then they like to leave go. Doesn't have to mean be nifta. It's the concept. The Ayin says, I'm going to need you Wednesday and Thursday. I know you have koil achageret, but I'm going to need you for something else. You might have to be in the hospital now with somebody. You might have to be gizach with a pesakibud of aim. You might have to do a chesed. And a person is like, I can't now. Leave go. And this is the easier things. The harder thing is when a person has to leave go of something that's so close and so precious to him, and he feels it's mamish part of his life. We are learning now in Chovos HaLevavos that the more a person invests his life doing ishtadas with the right mindset, they don't live for themselves. Like someone told me many times, he works for Uber. Wherever they send me, I don't know. Wherever I'm sent, that's what I do. Morning, afternoon, night, sometimes I plan different, but I leave go of everything I do. When a person develops such a kind of a feeling, they be'emes have a geschmack in Torah and feeling with chasadim, they enjoy. And that's bringing us back to the previous shir. That be'emes prepares the person not only to the metzias of leaving this world, as Zach, that prepares the person what they're going to be doing in Olam Elyon. Because in Olam Elyon, you just do what the Hashem wants. You just bottle to the rotzim from Hashem. That's why it's so important that a person should be flexible, and they should create a mindset. They should set up a mindset of saying, oh, that's what I wanted. I understood I have to be flexible. Gewaldig. The famous story from the Talmud, from the Rebbe from Lublin, the Talmud, Zeditshoiv, I think it was, he came with a zettel, and it said 9 o'clock in the morning he does this, and then this, a whole list. If it's a good Seder Hayoim, how when he learns, and then he wrote on the side, on everything, and sometimes the opposite. Sometimes the opposite is preparing you for the Ma'alyan. That's the leaving go. The Torah makes you telecho, because you're not invested in yourself. You exposed it in Ganzen. I do what the Rebbe wants. Yisurim do that to a person. There's nothing that does that to a person like Yisurim. Nothing. Torah could do it, but if a person is learning Torah on a real mahalach,
if you go out beyond yourself to others,
that does it. The Satmarov has a shtickle in the V'yoil, I think it's on Lech Lecha, that it says if a person has the Yitzhara, they should try to learn Torah. It doesn't work, say Krishma. It doesn't work, Yaskalei Mamisa. So the Tzaddikim explains what if Yaskalei Mamisa is a Eitzah that works. So let's just cut. Let's go to the Yaskalei Mamisa. So the Hasidim say that could bring to Atzvus. You should only use that if you have no other mahalach how to get to his oirus. but the Satmar says a geschmack shtickle. He explains that if Torah didn't work, it means you forgot the Yaskala Yom HaMisa while you were learning. I think that you should learn in a bit of different way. It's going to work. It's going to work against the Yetzer Hara. What is the Yaskala Yom HaMisa? It's reminding. It's not like a yum, like a threat. I once had a younger man that we were talking. This is right. This is wrong. Don't do this. And then the younger man said, once I used the term, I told him, like, what are your kids going to say? What kind of kids do you think you're going to have if you're going to do this? He said, don't threaten me. He's trying to bring out a point. I was kind of the point from him. Like, till now we were talking about right and wrong. Now you're not convincing me, so you're making me scared of something like from the outside. External, I'm going to have a problem with my kids. Now, of course, it's not what he's saying, because he's just going after his taiva. But Yaskala Yom HaMisa is not a threat. One day we're going to get you back. Or Yaskala Yom HaMisa is living with the reality, which is a much stronger reality than what's happening right now. Like we see when people, they wish there's a lot eaten. I mean, if a doctor says something, whatever, all of a sudden nothing matters anymore. Why? Because they're living a different type of reality. They hope it's not true. But the reality is not meant to be bitter. The reality is meant to be able to develop the letting go. If a person learns because they're again building themselves, then they're not developing that. Yaskala Yom HaMisa. Learn how to leave go. Then you know what's going to happen? You're going to be powerful. You're going to be besimcha. You're going to be ready to live a type of life which you're not meshubed. You're not meshubed to things, because I don't need dafka. It should be this way or that way. I'm good. I'm fine. It's avoida. It's strong avoida, but it's the be'emes the truth, because it catches up. It runs after you in life, because it's reality. Back in the day, I once asked one of my rabbis a shaila of this or that. He says, "Can I ask you a question? You want to talk realistically, or you want to talk about what your etzoynos are?" I remember my response was, I could decide not to be realistic, like it's an option. When Yaskala Yom HaMisa means realistic is the strong, reality is the strongest zach. It's stronger than anything. When a person, like when they meet reality, it doesn't mean there has to be a punch in the face that they met reality. It's up to the person. The more the person holds on, the more when they meet reality, it's painful. It doesn't have to be like that. When a person like Atchila lives in reality, it's beside it. This is the reality. It doesn't break him. It doesn't break him. Adarabba. Now, a person could develop it. This is the Yesod of Chavos. You could develop that. The more a person leaves go of taiva, try to do for others, expose your neshama, and live with that. That's going to slowly bring by the person that shlichus to give people, and they will here to serve the Rebbe Hashem's Ritzonos, and they developed again, like we said, that not that they you're developing the Ratzon which is inside, anyways to that. Just to start off, the Chovos HaLevavos where we're up to continues on that a person is not allowed to put themselves into a sakana. And he looks at it like the same way a person kills somebody else. If they put themselves into a sakana, they kill themselves. And if the Rebbe Hashem wants, the Rebbe Hashem is going to take away the person from this world anyways. The same concept. And brings a few rayas that a person is not allowed to put themselves into a sakana, because a person is looking at it like he's observing it from the outside. That's the concept. That if I put myself into a sakana, it's a type of atzlas. It's like it'll be good. There's no police, there's no whatever. Okay, I'm just going to do a sakana. It's a kind of atzlas. It means that you're building your own ritzonos. So what's fascinating is it's a shtickle deep, but it's very interesting. We look at the problem of Ritzicha, that Nebuch, something happened, he could have lived for so many years, his family and everything. So now we look at it with a Torah perspective, that a neshama was lost. The Torah neshama was lost. If we look and feelings of it. Ritzicha is many times when a person wants to live, and you're going against that. That person so badly wanted to live, and the person went and took away. That's it. He killed that person. He killed the person. When a person is putting themselves into a sakona because Hashem is very good now, they're now building their own ritzoinus. Or it's a rotzen of atzlis, which is also a rotzen. It's more comfortable for me not to do anything about it. Or it's a rotzen of adventure. Yeah, I could do this, I could do that. When that is going to be the cause, but say from Teva, that the person should leave this world, not only it's a problem that the neshama was an ibud neshama, they made it more painful. They created achiza in this world by putting themselves into this matzah they weren't allowed to. And then if something happens to them, the Chavos always explains, they lost the schusim, or they won't be saved because they were in a matzah of a sakana. But the bottom line is, you're making it more messy. Because your avodah is to constantly follow the Rebbeinu Hashem's plan. And then, if the person was cautious and did what they were supposed to, and the Rebbeinu Hashem decided to take away this person from the world, it went in the right direction. People look at it, went fucking, I tried whatever I could. I went to all the doctors. I davened my heart out. Woo! And then I don't believe this is what happened. But if the person does it the right way, then what's happening is the person is making the achiza less. Instead of doing what I want, I'm doing what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants. And then the Rebbeinu Shalom is going weiter, gewaldig. So it was a continuation. I'm not saying that it's easy, those feelings, but it makes sense. What the Chavos Avos is trying to say. Rebbeinu Shalom is doing, but you make sure you don't do what you want, not in a form of atzlus, and not in a form of hapatakoi. That means any of those adventures. So, climbing and taking a selfie. How many guys died from that? And on the top of a Chvezvudorten. That you're strengthening your grip. When someone does that, then there's dinim, because they're not bottled to the Ratzon from the Rebbeinu Shalom. When they're not bottled to the Ratzon from the Rebbeinu Shalom, that could cause it.
And those people always say, it makes me feel alive. But it's the wrong kind of alive.
Right. It makes some people, they say it because they're trying to say, why do you feel so good? Because they're so empty. If they don't have that, only Koich HaVotzim Yadi could make them feel that they have been this place, that place. They stamp their passport. They don't stamp passport anymore, but they could show something for themselves. This is the yesod of the beginning of Shara Dalet. It needs a lot of examples. The person should chap it ad sof. Okay, we say that. Ad kan.